Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us. It's time for Take Note, and we'll be looking at the 11th UNESCO African Engineering Week. The African Engineering Week and Africa Engineering Conference were enacted by the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and is annually co-organized by the Federation of African Engineering Organization, FAEO, as part of the mechanisms to promote and develop the engineering sectors across the African continent. Last year's AEW and AEC conference was held in Rwanda, Angola in September. Being a member of FAEO, the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers won the bid to host this year's 11th UNESCO conference. Speaking to us about that is Engineer Diana Kesiga, the Vice President, Public Relations, Practice and Ethics at the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers, and Dr. Cosmas Mwikirize, Superintendent, Industrial Value Chains Development, STIOP. I'll be asking him a little bit later exactly what STIOP is, but allow me begin with Dr. Engineer Diana Kesiga, the Vice President, Public Relations, Practice and Ethics, the 11th UNESCO African Engineering Week. What is this about?
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting UIPE, the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers, to speak about the 11th UNESCO Africa Engineering Week and 9th African Engineering Conference, which is going to take place in September 14th to 20th at the Speak Resort Convention Center in Munyonyo. And before I start, I'd like to say thank you very much to our principal sponsor, the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat, under the Office of the President, under the leadership of Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero Masanza. We deeply appreciate your leadership in STI and advancing this not just in Uganda but across the continent and the world. So what is this event? This is the leading forum on the continent that brings together engineers and other practitioners to discuss the contribution of engineering to addressing Africa's challenges.
That's right.
And like you've mentioned, the event is going to be hosted by UIPE this year because UIPE, as an engineering professionals umbrella, is on a mission to nurture and promote excellence in science and practice so that we can have engineers contributing meaningfully to the socio-economic transformation agendas of not just Uganda but Africa and the rest of the world. And that's why we chose to bid to host this conference. The theme for this year's conference is leveraging engineering innovations and technology to accelerate socio-economic transformation. And our guest of honor is the one and only President of Uganda, His Excellence Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The fact that he is a strong advocate for science, technology and engineering education really makes him the best guest of honor that we can have for this event. Why does this event matter and why are we having it? This event is providing us all an opportunity to be part of Africa's development narrative. And we'll be diving into several sub-themes, including innovative engineering for industrialization, economic growth, sustainable infrastructure, renewable energy, engineering innovations in agriculture, water and food security, and capacity building for engineers as well. And as you can see, these themes align with various agenda, including SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals agenda. It will contribute to a number of the SDGs, 17 SDGs, like climate action, partnerships. There is this saying that in the African saying that goes, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, then you go together. So we'll be forging such partnerships that will help us deliver this, but it also aligns with the Africa Vision 2063, East African Community Vision 2050, and also the NDP4 of the country. In fact, the agenda, the theme of this event is like the heart of the implementation engine for NDP4.
NDP4.
Yeah, I'm talking about the value addition and industrialization of the key opportunity areas, the ATMs, agriculture, tourism, and minerals. And on that note, I would really like to appreciate NPA for having led the process for the development of NDP4, but also Parliament for having approved this document.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let me stay with the theme in introducing or bringing Dr. Cosmas Mukirize on board, leveraging engineering innovations and technology to accelerate Africa's socio-economic transformation. That is a very pertinent agenda across the continent. And when I look at the industrial value chains development that is being undertaken under STI or P, we cannot overstate. Tell us about this thrust and how you are supporting the ability of those that are innovating to be able to leverage in moving forward.
Thank you very much. That's a very important question. Now, as you know, we have invested in science, technology, and innovation for a very long time, both here in Uganda, but also across the continent. But the impact of innovation on the economy, which is really where the rubber hits the road, has been slow coming.
That's right.
And you wonder why. It is because we haven't quite figured out, we didn't figure out we didn't figure out the magic formula of how to make the science, the technology, the innovation speak to industrialization, speak to commercialization, and speak to the economy ultimately. And where I come from, the Science, Technology, and Innovation Secretary, we actually say innovation is not complete until you have a product or service in the hands of a given number of users who are willing to pay for it. I'll link this to the theme of the event we're talking about shortly, but I'll first take you to 4 years ago in 2021, when His Excellency the President, and who is our main champion for science, technology, and innovation in the nation, and government took this dramatic step to reorganize the framework for execution of STI, Science, Technology, and Innovation in the nation, and created this system, because science is not a sector, it is an approach to the economy.
That is right.
For example, when you look at the tenfold growth strategy, which we're talking about now, which is underpinned by the ATMs, science, technology, and innovation is supposed to contribute on its own, but it's also an enabler to all the other sectors, the tourism, commercialization, and the mineral development, including oil and gas. So now, of course, you cannot do everything. You have to probably focus on a few things and do them well. And that's where the concept of the industrial value chains, which we are focusing on, comes in. So we have 8 priority industrial value chains. Broadly speaking, these are areas where we think that as a nation, if we put our emphasis here, we can leverage them and hit that sweet spot of industrialization and economic impact. I mean, I'll not go through all of them, but I can highlight a few. For example, the mobility. You know, now we are big in e-mobility. You've seen our traction through Chira Motors, right, and the impact through we're trying to actually fully electrify public transport by 2030. If you talk about what we call the pathogen economy, where we are looking at developing solutions for healthcare, vaccine, therapeutics, and many others. And then you're looking at infrastructure, innovations, aeronautics and space, and many others. Now, what we have noticed is that when it comes to innovation, more than 60% of the value comes from engineering. Okay. Because, you know, we have the basic sciences where we're trying to understand nature, but when we talk about innovation, it's really applied science, where we're trying to solve our development challenges. So we do notice that if we don't get the engineering right, we cannot get science, technology, and innovation right. And that is why, to us, partnering with the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers, in this event was a no-brainer, because we want to leverage all partnerships that can help us get to that promised land. And so we come on not just as a sponsor, but as a strategic partner to show the progress that our nation has made, to attract the relevant partnerships that are going to help us move forward. But also, we want to get policymakers in the room. Okay. As part of the program, we're actually going to have a ministerial forum where we have invited all ministers of science across Africa, so that we look at what we're doing, what is working and what is not working, and how can we improve. And so by supporting this event, we're giving a presence for all the innovators, and we're supporting many of those. We're giving them a platform to exhibit, to showcase, and send a signal to the world that Uganda is not just ready to lead, but we are ready to partner to ensure that science, technology, and innovation has that impact that it ought if we're to realize our continental development goals.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Mikiriza. You've answered 3 of my questions, and making a little bit difficult right now, but I'll be returning to you especially on your thoughts on what can work and what has not worked. There is an important conversation around that, especially when it comes to engineering. But allow me just return to Engineer Kesiga. This is the 11th such event and week. I just want us to look back at the 10th and could it be a scorecard or so? Something that we can build on, something that must have worked by the time the 11th conference comes through in September.
Thank you very much. So this conference, it's an annual event hosted usually by FAO, the Federation of African Engineering Organizations, and different countries on the continent bid to host this event. And that platform, the discussions that are held primarily revolve around the contribution of engineering, engineering innovations, and how they can transform the socioeconomic agenda of Africa. So looking at the outcomes of the previous conference, it was agreed that this year we would focus on engineering innovations, because at the heart of accelerating attainment of the agendas that have been defined in various forums, Africa Agenda 2023, 2063, the SDGs, our own NDP4, we see innovation, particularly in engineering, as that driver, as that enabler that will help us attain what it is that we have to achieve. Not forgetting the role that politicians really have to play, because you know the manifestos that the president himself and the politicians draw usually define the trajectory that the country takes. So them participating, and the fact that we have this ministerial forum, I would like to invite MPs, among others, to really come and participate in this conference and use the learnings to refine their manifestos, because definitely once that happens, we'll have a dual win, not just for the MP, but also for Uganda as a country.
Okay, talking about politicians, your last word will be coming through on the use of the word engineer on the campaign posters. But allow Mr. Dr. Mikiriza to talk to us about, very quickly, the informal sector knowledge use. Today, many things are happening at artisan level that need to be developed in order for us as a country to begin to manufacture complex items. Because at the end of the day, our ability to put products out there that are complex is what will define how much we can bring in order to compete on the global market. How are we leveraging the knowledge that artisans have for them to be able to come on board, but most importantly, be part of this agenda?
Thank you. There has hitherto been a tendency to sideline we actually call them indigenous scientists.
Indigenous scientists.
So they're actually scientists.
Okay.
They have a very good appreciation of science, and they have augmented that with quite a bit of skill. In fact, you'll find that they can fabricate, put things out there to an extent that actual engineers sometimes cannot. And so we have to look at our engineering ecosystem across the entire spectrum. And the key thing to that informal sector that you're talking about is how do we create synergy? How do we create this handshake between them and our engineers who have gone through formal training. Yes, and we have very many instances to illustrate how we have done that, both through UIPE and also through the Science, Technology and Innovation ecosystem. So we have reached out to them, we have specialized skilling programs, we actually give them innovation grants. But usually when we give them, because we want to infuse the science, the engineering, we pair them with professors, we pair them with industrial players such as Chira Motors, so that we get the best of both worlds. And we have a few, I don't know, 1 year ago we launched this 3-in-1 trike. We already have a ready to manufacture prototype. It's a three-wheeled vehicle that can power an industrial, simple industrial setting, 6 kilowatts. It can also irrigate, it can carry produce, so it can actually turn a household into an industrial enterprise. And it was a brainchild of our engineers from that informal setting that we paired. Our scientists that we paired with Chira Motors. And we have so many interventions. So we are not letting, our motto is actually don't leave anyone behind. We must all move together.
Thank you. Innovation is really emboldening. And to wrap this conversation up, the thrust that politicians have, you want them on board, but many are seeking to use the word engineer to get votes, and the institution is up in arms against them. You've written to the Electoral Commission. I know it's on the spot, but you have a statement out. So?
No, I actually want to state that we have engineers that have gone through these NRM primaries and other political party primaries and won, you know, to be representatives for their constituencies, to join the parliament. There is, for you to be called an engineer or to use engineer before your name, you need to be registered by the Engineers Registration Board. And there is no two ways about that.
I think that is very clear. Thank you very much, Dr. Cosmas Mikirize, Superintendent, Industrial Value Chains Development, STI, Office of the President, and thank you to Engineer Diana Kesiga, the Vice President, Public Relations, Practice and Ethics at the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers. For you who is seeking political office, you could be one that has gone about manufacturing and fabricating all these metalworks within the village. Please, you're not engineer. Just state your name on that poster and seek elections in a very honest way. Well, that's it for the Tech Note, but do stay with us.